Welcome back to the segment of asking some political questions to political people running. And Doug Anderson and I are here, Durham Election 2010.ca. Go to the website and find out what you've been up to. Geez, you've been up to stirring up some stuff. They were pretty happy you're not doing the green thing anymore. You're just being a pain in the butt. Don't leave my microphone. I got it. It's my microphone.
Oh, it's your microphone.
Don't touch.
Okay,
Don't touch it.
Yes. No, the website's quite very successful. We got basically there's 136 candidates have answered 38 questions each on the environment, a few other issues, etc. And anybody can go there and see where their candidates stand. Yeah, and we invited a bunch of them to come on here, but they'd all deny. All of these guys showed up because, quite frankly, they didn't think that they could trust the way I'd behave. Nice. Okay, so let's go back to this now. The question we had was,
we refused to answer the questions on the grounds of being criminals.
Listen, you know what? None of you are elected. I don't think we'll get an incumbent on it. I don't think we'll get an incumbent on this show because they quite frankly think that with only 25% of the people voting, why stir it up and make up a reason not to do it? You have taken the challenge, all of you, to come here, and I appreciate you doing that. Let's go back to one of the questions. You know what? The OMB has the way that they behave. The province has basically wrestled almost all control at one point in time, in my opinion, from the municipalities. Here you are, wanting to be city and regional councillors as a mayor and as a local councillor. I mean, great that you got these ideas, guys, but, what are you going to do when the big boogeyman says, we're doing it no matter what, damn the torpedoes, the province rules? When are we going to finally get leadership that's going to say, you know what, then we stop doing this? But it just seems like there's no stopgap. Am I missing something here?
No, Garth,
or is there something that you get, what are you going to do to help at least draw attention to the fact that we should have more control over our municipalities versus the boogeyman up at Queen's Park?
Pull the plug, filibust, say no, do nothing, and start, in fact, pushing back. And you know what? If I'm right, and if we're right about this election, we're not going to see just 25%. The public have had enough, Garth. They have had enough, and I'll tell you that if I'm right, this election will set the stage for 2011. And I think at that point, we're going to see some very different policies come out of Queen's Park.
Okay, what are we going to do? Burn bridges? I mean, or are we going to burn effigies? Doug, how do you propose? Right now, the province has been heavy-handed, and you're going to run locally and regionally. What can we expect from a guy like you to at least draw attention? I mean, Mateg made his whole career about talking about gas prices. I mean, I just don't see anybody doing anything locally, doing anything that looks like it's remotely that's representing my idea. Say, go get that province. What are you going to do?
I agree that there's a problem. I tend to shy away from the adversarial approach. I still have
next question.
I still have some faith in human nature.
Okay.
As long as I've been alive, it's endless wrangling between governments, unfortunately,
right. Yes.
Between local and regional, some local municipalities and regional, between regional and the province, and yes, even between the province and the feds, who also are playing a part in municipal affairs today.
I get the history lesson, but what can I expect from you?
An advocate. I will be an advocate, first of all, to make all these parties understand that we're all serving the same people. We're all serving the same citizen. So let's work together, not work on separate agendas, a provincial agenda and a regional and a City of Oshawa agenda, but let's bring them together. Let's look for common ground.
Are you giving the impression that there have been no people on Oshawa Council who have been trying to do that in the past?
They may have tried, but I think the issue is leadership. They may have tried, they may be doing their best, but the skill set isn't there. There's been a failure. We can talk about, and I'm sure we will, some specific issues where they might have influenced their regional colleagues, for example, but failed to do so. Yeah. So we need leadership.
Dave, you're running locally, so you're not going for the regional chair, so you're that guy trying to get that seat in a citywide election, which is going to be tough anyways. Sorry, my microphone, I just got it hammered over here. You're going to be a local guy, you're against the big bruisers. Like, what can we expect from Dave Gilbert?
Well, I think we have to, what the point was made earlier, that we have to get together with other municipalities because we're not the only ones going through this. Everyone in the province is going through this. It's the same thing all over the province. So strengthen numbers. And if we can get with other councils, other municipalities, and start going after the provincial government, next year is an election year. Mr. McGinty is going to look for another mandate. So if we can put some pressure that way, there's strength in numbers. And getting with other councils are probably talking about the same things we are here tonight. And that's the way we're going to do it. You can't do it alone. I can't do it alone.
Will we hear your voices standing in the gap, or are we going to say, oh, you've been quietly working in the background, which is another way of saying you didn't see me do nothing?
There are some new people, as you have noticed. We are well motivated, and yes, you will hear our voices.
That's all
we will be strong spoken.
And I think what we're talking about too, especially in Oshawa, we want to work together. Council isn't working together right now, and if you're working together, then you can get people behind you, get other councils behind you, and get things done.
Listen, getting a 1970s rock band in there, you guys rock. All right, Doug's got some more questions. Go ahead. I'll hold the microphone because I'm better at it.
Okay. Yeah, the issue is, you basically are talking about getting together, etc. From doing a little bit of devil's disciple thing for the moment, it basically is devil's advocate. The province would say that one of the reasons they're meddling in municipal affairs is because the municipalities have screwed up in the past. And basically, and we're not talking just Oshawa, we're not talking about Pickering, we're talking about right across the GTA, etc. So you're talking about bringing councils together all of a sudden. I mean, we're talking, this has been going on for 25, 30 years, etc. Now, what's happening? What are you guys going to bring that's going to suddenly change that dynamic?
Well, I don't think the will is on council to get together and do things like this. I think it will be if you get new councillors in there, but you need some fresh ideas.
Council. So
I'm sure you can convince other councils to get involved in this because again, they're facing the same problems that we are here.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Can I just say, speaking for myself, I mentioned earlier that I would be wearing two hats. I'd be a city councillor, plus I'd serve on the council of the region of Durham. I'm not a person, I'm just not, who takes the point of view all the time, Oshawa, Oshawa, Oshawa. I look at the big picture. We're there to serve all of Durham region and make it stronger. So I'm anxious to work closely with my colleagues from right across the region. And quite frankly, we can learn a lot from them. Ajax, for example, is well regarded all across Canada as a municipality that's learned how to manage its debt and do it well. Not all of us can say the same. So we can learn a lot from one another.
I think you have an advantage in Oshawa. Because if you make Oshawa shine, everybody's going to race to keep up.
Right on.
They'll have nobody else to blame.
Exactly. Pick it up for those boys and girls. Am I supposed to be able to do this on a debate? It's internet, so it's okay. All right, Doug, got another question?
Well, yeah. I mean, you bring up the matter of you're talking about you will be on regional council and local council, and you'll try to unite people. This brings up a dilemma for all politicians. You're all, I'm sure, running on the basis that you want to represent your constituents. Well, how do you solve the dilemma that you're going to represent your constituents, and yet you're going to be doing what the region wants or what the rest of your council wants, etc.? I mean, I'll throw you a scenario, which is fairly common, unfortunately, is somebody wants to build a group home within your area, etc. And you've got a group of your constituents that basically get up in arms and they start rallying their neighbors, etc. And then you get a delegation to council, etc. Now, we'll assume for the moment that group home is run by a corporation or something that has a good record. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to do the right thing and let it happen, or are you going to follow your constituents, even though that's NIMBYism?
Wait a minute. What do you mean do the right thing? You're planning a suggestion. Why don't you ask what he's going to do? Do the right thing. Why don't you throw your opinion in there? That's my show.
No, I'm sure that most of you on the questionnaire answered that question about social. Most of you, I'm sure, answered it. You were more on the social and environmental side than you were on the hard costs. So I'm assuming that you basically you're going to be generally in favor of, we have to deal with the disadvantaged.
First of all, may I say, I think you're right on both points. I think it is the right thing.
He's already a politician.
I think it is the right thing. I think NIMBYism is also the issue.
Learner.
NIMBYism is also the issue. Yeah. So group homes, surely all of us in this day and age where there's so much problems with families and people who don't have a family, we realize there's a need for support. But there is this thought, yes, but not in my backyard. My view is I will be an advocate for those who need the help. And if it means being even in my own backyard, I say yes, in this world we have to make concessions sometime. So I will be an advocate for people who have needs like that, and I'll try to persuade my constituents. If there's a need, let's we have lots of group homes in Oshawa.
Even facing the fact that most people say, well, make sure that you don't get elected, will you make the right decision that you think is right, even if someone says, we're going to go against you and you're never getting elected? Mind you, those people never show up anyways.
You're absolutely right. It does take courage, and I would rather be shot down in 4 years for doing the right thing and not being appreciated than for not seeing the need and being there to meet it. So I think courage is needed, and that's, to me, that fits with my definition of leadership.
We have to wrap on this. We'll come back on this second little. You know what? Let's keep it on a little longer here because I know we got a 15-minute window on YouTube, so we're going to try and work with that right now. Let's Maurice, very quickly, if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. I think also, but we're underestimating the public. To start with, in my tenure, when I was on council, we had some tough decisions. As a matter of fact, I introduced co-op housing in my ward in at least 1 or 2 locations, and I did survive elections. It's because you really do underestimate the public in terms of helping them to understand the need for a social conscience and to deal with stereotype attitudes and confront it and challenge it. So once you go out there and you start working on it, yeah, you're going to have some of the naysayers. I mean, that's the truth. You're always going to. But honestly, the majority of people, if you give them an opportunity to understand and get to know what the issue is and get to know whether it's a group home, what some of the, if it's children, for example, special needs or whatever, and get them to understand that these are your neighbors. Mm-hmm. This is not somebody coming from Timbuktu. This is somebody that is your neighbor.
That's right.
That is in your community or in your region that has just had some difficult times.
But,
and you know what?
We've seen municipalities like Hamilton, and I've done business there, and Hamilton's like they're flying people in and populating that whole town to the demise of some of the local economy out there, that they're flying in all kind of social welfare cases that is really hurting that economy. I've got to wrap on this point, Dave. I know you want to jump in, but I've got to go in the interest of time. We're going to come back and maybe revisit if you want to do it, or we'll move on to another question. Stay with us. It's more of Doug Anderson being a pain in the butt and Garth Riley here talking to these guys about being elected. You know, stay with us.